Beyond the Gates recap for October 28, 2025. Ted picked a fight with Carlton, and Kat sent an unintentional message about de-virginizing. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day before we begin the video. Please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Here's what went down Tuesday, October 28, 2025 on Beyond the Gates when the Hawthorne men threw down. Martin was ready to take care of business, and Smitty took care of his a little late. What happened on Beyond the Gates? On Beyond the Gates, the Duprees finished up their lunch with Smitty and Martin, celebrating the couple's reunion. Anita and Vernon apologized that a speaking gig had kept them from the Richardson Smiths' vow renewal ceremony. Smitty understood and said that traveling had prevented his own parents from being there. The patriarch and matriarch wanted Smitty to know that he was a part of the Dupree legacy and that they were sorry that their advice about how Martin should handle the hate crime Kenneth and his brother had committed against him and Vernon had led to so much marital strife. Vernon appreciated that his grandson and grandson's husband wanted to start fresh, but cautioned them against burying the feelings that had led to their split in the first place. Smitty and Martin announced that they would be attending marriage counseling, which pleased the elders. After Smitty relayed that he would be continuing his journalism career, this time with Martin's full support, Martin affirmed his intention to concentrate on maintaining his position in the House with the 2026 midterms coming up. The congressman felt he had let his personal problems distract him from his constituents. Former Senator Dupree recalled that Martin had already displayed political tendencies as a child, which had prompted him to become the youth liaison for the Dupree Foundation. Smitty hadn't realized that Martin had already had those ambitions so young, and both Anita and Vernon praised Martin for his desire to do the right thing for his voters. Afterwards, Martin and Smitty realized they needed to get home. At Uptown, Kat and Chelsea went over purse business details like metadata and SEO keywords that would drive people to their website, but Chelsea could tell that Kat, who kept staring at the door, was preoccupied. Kat claimed she was keeping an eye out for Samantha, who was earning class credits in working for Chelsea Kat, but Chelsea sensed more was going on. When Kat finally admitted she was hoping to run into Isaiah, Chelsea wondered if her cousin had a thing for the young man. Kat scoffed that she and Tomas were solid, and Chelsea rolled her eyes when Kat said that she wanted to keep Isaiah from becoming interested in Eva. "Oh, Catherine," Chelsea scolded, suspecting that Kat was trying to pay Eva back for coming on to Tomas by ruining things with Isaiah before they could start. The hungry Samantha arrived and went to the bar to fetch menus, allowing Kat and Chelsea to go on with their conversation. Kat reported that sex with Tomas was better than ever. Samantha listened as Kat sighed about how insatiable Tomas was, and how she shouldn't have waited so long to give up her purity to him. Chelsea giggled that Kat had gone from virgin to sex goddess overnight, but both the cousins were mortified when they realized Samantha had heard what they'd been talking about. Both Kat and Chelsea fumbled to explain to Samantha that sex wasn't the most important thing in a relationship, desperately listing connection, respect, consent, communication, and boundaries as higher priorities. Samantha suddenly decided that she'd rather have lunch at school and bounced. Kat was certain that Martin was going to kill her when he found out that she'd allowed his 16-year-old to be privy to nitty-gritties about her sex life. At the brownstone, Samantha greeted the surprised Nathan with a kiss, letting him know that her fathers would be gone for hours. Nathan more than once asked Samantha if she was sure she wanted to proceed. He couldn't ascertain what had caused her change in attitude. Samantha slyly confirmed that she'd wanted to strengthen their connection, so Nathan took a condom out of his backpack. Just as things were getting hot and heavy, Smitty and Martin came through the door. "Samantha, Richardson Smith," Smitty yelled. Nathan and Samantha knew they were busted. Jacob was angry when Elon dumped a stack of file folders on his desk. The younger detective pointed out that he wasn't on desk duty anymore, a demotion he had only endured after he'd accused Elon of being a crooked cop and tried to investigate the dead body in Stance Park. Elon commanded Jacob to do whatever he told him to do, growling that Jacob still needed lessons on how to be a good officer. Jacob refuted his father's claim just as Isaiah came upon the scene, surprised that, for once, Elon wasn't lavishing adoration on his favorite child. Elon bristled to hear Isaiah complaining about how his dad looked down on him just because he'd chosen not to join the force like Jacob, their other brother Luke, and their mother. The senior Hawthorne sniped that he just wanted Isaiah to live up to his potential, which Isaiah assumed didn't include having been arrested several times. Isaiah argued that he had gone on to get his Bachelor of Science degree and complete his master's in psychology, but Elon vocalized that those accomplishments had amounted to nothing but Isaiah taking a series of low-paying jobs. Isaiah flaunted the fact that he had received a job offer from Banneker University, but when Isaiah added that he hadn't decided whether or not to accept it, Elon went off that Isaiah didn't have enough sense to accept, and that he couldn't be bothered to put down roots. The police chief snorted that Isaiah needed to pop in and visit his mother before he ditched town again. Isaiah wondered if Elon had missed him as well. Elon softened somewhat and said he had. He didn't disagree that Isaiah's work was important, too. It just wasn't. Elon stopped himself and took off in a huff. Isaiah smiled to Jacob that as far as paternal conversations went, that one had gone pretty well. Jacob was confused as to why Isaiah hadn't immediately jumped on the opportunity Banneker was offering. Before Isaiah could answer, he got a text from his girlfriend Yolanda, who told him that there was nothing left for him here. Isaiah took the meaning and told Jacob that he had decided to work at Banneker after all. Carlton completed a problematic liposuction procedure, after which he and Shanice discussed how many ailments disproportionately affected Black people. Nicole came by the nurse's station, and Shanice joked about having to call maintenance if she and Carlton didn't stop flirting. As Carlton and Nicole agreed that they were both looking forward to their first date, Ted overheard and took issue with the two going out. Nicole icily reminded Ted that they were now exes, and therefore Ted had no say as to who she decided to spend time with. Ted resented Nicole moving on with his business partner and jeered that next, Nicole would be asking Laura to set up a Tinder profile for her. At least I waited. Nicole clapped back, berating Ted for sleeping with the vile Leslie while they were still technically married. When Carlton attempted to speak in Nicole's defense, Ted told him to back the hell up. Shanice thought the disagreement should be happening in such a public forum. Nicole chastised Ted for treating her like property and for not having valued her enough to remain faithful. Ted declared his friendship with Carlton over, castigating him for acting on his longtime crush on his wife. Ex-wife, Nicole again corrected, going on to say that the Ted she had known would never be treating her so shabbily. Carlton piped up that Nicole deserved to be with a man. Truth hurts, he added when Ted objected. Ted replied, not as much as my fist is gonna hurt going upside your head. Nicole was aghast that the men were sinking to the level of schoolyard taunts. Ted moped that he thought he and Nicole were past him disappointing her, saying, so much for being friends and experiencing forgiveness. Nicole wanted Ted to go, but after he did, she additionally flamed Carlton for him and Ted, acting like a couple of cavemen. Carlton sheepishly assumed that his date with Nicole was now off. What do you think? Nicole spat, after which Shanice told Carlton that she had warned him about trying to battle Ted in a less private setting. Beyond the Gates delivered a fiery, jaw-dropping episode on October 28, 2025, proving once again why this suspense-filled series has become appointment television. The latest installment threw viewers into a cauldron of tension, scandal, and emotional explosions as secrets bubbled to the surface, alliances cracked, and one shocking conversation spiraled completely out of control. From Ted's reckless brawl with Carlton to Kat's hilariously uncomfortable comment about de-virginizing that sent ripples through the entire community, this week's drama felt like a ticking bomb that could go off at any second. It was a night of chaos behind the manicured lawns of the gated world, and fans couldn't get enough. The episode opened with a deceptively calm morning. The residents of the Enclave were still reeling from last week's dramatic council meeting fallout, where loyalties were tested and lies exposed. Ted, still bruised by Carlton's betrayal, wasn't ready to let the tension die down. His temper simmered beneath the surface, and when Carlton made a smug remark about Ted's leadership failures, that was all it took for sparks to fly. The confrontation began with words, but quickly escalated into a full-blown shouting match that echoed across the golf course. Carlton, always the picture of arrogance, smirked as Ted's voice grew louder. You've been talking behind my back for weeks, Carlton, Ted accused, eyes blazing. Carlton didn't deny it. He doubled down, goading Ted until the unthinkable happened. In a moment that stunned onlookers, Ted lunged, shoving Carlton hard enough to send him stumbling over a chair. Security had to intervene, and by the time it was over, both men were red-faced and fuming. The fight left the community buzzing, with residents whispering about what it meant for the fragile alliances that had kept the neighborhood balanced. Ted's reputation as a peacemaker seemed shattered, while Carlton's ability to manipulate those around him only strengthened. For the first time, the good guy in the neighborhood wasn't looking so noble, and Carlton, despite being the antagonist, walked away with a grin that said he knew exactly how to turn this to his advantage. But that wasn't even the wildest moment of the episode. Kat, ever the social butterfly with a knack for awkward timing, ended up dropping a bomb of her own during brunch at the clubhouse. The group had gathered to discuss the fallout from Ted and Carlton's altercation, and in her effort to lighten the mood, Kat made what she thought was an innocent joke, except it wasn't. When someone teased her about her new relationship with a mysterious newcomer, Eli, Kat laughed and said she was helping him de-virginize from his old habits. The phrase hung in the air like a spark waiting to ignite. Within seconds, it was clear her choice of words had sent the wrong message entirely. The stunned silence was followed by nervous laughter, but the damage was done. By the end of the day, the rumor mill had exploded. Half the neighborhood believed Kat had just publicly confirmed she was sleeping with Eli, while the other half thought she was making fun of someone else's private business. Either way, Kat's unintentional message became the talk of Beyond the Gates, turning her into the unwitting star of a gossip storm she never meant to create. Meanwhile, in the shadows of all the chaos, subtle storylines kept building. Eli, whose mysterious past continues to intrigue viewers, was seen meeting privately with the same real estate investor who's been quietly buying up properties within the community. Their conversation hinted at something bigger, perhaps a plot to take over the entire neighborhood, or worse, expose the dark secrets buried beneath it. Elsewhere, Zara continued to spiral after last week's betrayal, turning to old vices for comfort. Her scenes added an emotional weight to the episode, showing the toll that living in such a toxic environment can take on someone already fragile. She crossed paths with Kat later in the evening, and their heart-to-heart, awkwardly interrupted by gossiping neighbors, became one of the night's most touching moments. Zara warned Kat that she was becoming the new Ted, meaning someone who thinks they can fix everyone but ends up breaking themselves. It was a line that cut deep, especially after Kat's accidental gossip disaster. As night fell, Ted sat alone by the gate, nursing his bruised ego and wondering where it all went wrong. In one of the episode's most beautifully shot scenes, he gazed through the iron bars as the lights of the city flickered beyond. It was a powerful metaphor. The walls he built to protect his perfect world had now become his prison. Carlton, meanwhile, was seen on his phone, clearly orchestrating his next move. His cryptic line, "By the time they realize what I've done, it'll be too late," sent chills through fans online, sparking countless theories about what his endgame might be. Was he plotting revenge on Ted? Was he teaming up with the elusive investor? Or was he about to blow the entire gated illusion wide open? Back at the clubhouse, Kat tried to do damage control. She cornered a few neighbors to explain her comment was just a misunderstanding, but the more she tried to clarify, the worse it got. Her attempts at humor only added fuel to the fire, and by the end of the night, she realized she'd accidentally made herself the scandal of the season. Fans online were divided. Some found her slip-up hilarious, while others felt second-hand embarrassment. "Kat's mouth is her own worst enemy," one viewer wrote on X, "but I can't stop watching her crash and burn in style." What made this episode stand out wasn't just the drama, it was how raw and real it felt. The writing brilliantly captured how small mistakes can spiral into major consequences in a community obsessed with perfection. Ted's downfall, Kat's blunder, and Carlton's manipulations all served as mirrors of human weakness, vanity, and the desperate need for control in a world where appearances are everything. The cinematography also deserves credit. Every frame of Ted and Carlton's fight was tense and cinematic, while the brunch scene was a masterclass in uncomfortable comedy. The soundtrack's subtle use of a low